Hello folks, today I'm going to be taking a look at Frosthaven from Cephalofair games. It is massive, so much so that I can barely lift it. Say that. It's 16 kilograms, I think. Look at the depth of that box. So this is a Euro style fantasy campaign game. It can be played solo or with a group of up to 4 people. And as you can see, there's a lot in this box. So much so that I'm probably going to split this review up somewhat. So first off, you get a little 4-page document. And in this, it explains how you actually unpack this box and reassemble it so that you have it for future gameplay. What everything is, where you'll find it, and what to do with it. Before you do anything else, you read this, and as it says, there's a number of components in here. It is organized in a specific way, and because it's a legacy style game, there are things you shouldn't be looking at. So puzzle book, don't be opening that. The sticker sheets, don't be opening those. So I'll show as much as I can without spoiling anything too much, hopefully. But just to get you started, after the little leaflet, you get a set of trays within trays for all the tokens. We have the rule book itself, which is 83 pages, full color, and explaining the various ins and outs of what to expect when playing through Frosthaven. Oh, there's one of the stickers need to go in here. This was something interesting. So there were errata or things that hadn't been finalized when the book went to print. So they provided stickers for you to sticker in, and then they've actually left the page numbers and then the areas blank so you can pop them in there. So there's a bit of prep work to do before the book is good to go. This is our little puzzle book, as you can see, sealed with a little sticker lock. Don't be opening it, although imagine right off the bat people will be attempting to decipher what that says, presumably puzzle book. We have the section book and scenario book, which are both A4 spiral bound, and they are very, very weighty tomes. Where are we? 195 for the first book, well, 197 actually, and then the scenario book is a svelte 167 pages, again full cover or full color, blink and you miss it. We have our campaign sheet to keep an eye on the progress as you build your campaign in Frosthaven. There are several of these. We have our map board, which is 6 sections forming the outpost of Frosthaven. You can see there various parts of your settlement itself and parts beyond, which is very nice. Take a closer look at that in a moment. We have our events. We have the stickers themselves. So these are the page stickers to go into your book. Then we have the campaign stickers that you're not supposed to look at because it will spoil things. We have our alchemy flowchart for crafting. It's quite nice. It's like a leaf from somebody's book where it's been scribbled on as they've done a bit of botany. Various fungi on the back. And then we have our card sections. So our card components are that thick. They are split into the various trackers, all numbered, and these are your branching scenario paths, I believe. So even though you start at 1, you can go in various directions. So, but after your initial start, then you can start going off quite different directions. And this should fit together to build up your sort of map board. Again, we'll take a closer look at that in a moment. And then we have our tiles and counters. There are, oh my word, 27 sheets. Will look to be about A3 size. Full colour, double-sided, 2mm, I'm going to say. Cardboard, so relatively sturdy. I can't imagine they could have gone for 3mm in here without doubling the weight, and it's already fairly substantial. And then we have our bottom layers. So 2 L-shaped sections containing characters, monsters, trackers, and assorted stats and cards. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to break down the card sections into the container as per the book, and when we come back I'll take a look at some of the characters and talk a bit about the game itself. Okay, I'm back. All the cardboard's popped out and sorted and bagged. There's still some more sorting to do, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'll explain it when we get there. If you're wondering how long it takes to go through 27 punch boards, about 50 minutes. So there you go. Make sure you've plenty of real estate as well when you're doing it, or do it in sections. Remove the map tiles first, because they're the heaviest and want to fall out of the boards anyway, and you don't want them dropping on top of neatly stacked piles of tokens or monsters. But we'll run through what you actually get inside the box then. So we're going to start off with the Outpost of Frosthaven, the map board itself, split into 2 parts. The lower is Frosthaven, your settlement. As you can see, some places there already. Unlike in Gloomhaven where you got gold, in Frosthaven you get materials that you can use to update your settlement. However, your settlement can also be destroyed. And to the north, we have the various areas you're going to be exploring and checking out around Frosthaven. So, meeting new friends, influencing people and monsters. Who knows how it will go? So, big chunky board there. We also have the map tiles. So there are 35, I think, maybe 36 of these. They come in sort of 2 flavors. So you have your traditional square or rectangular. They are all double-sided and they are all 2mm cardstock, numbered and lettered, so you can find them when you're playing specific scenarios. The squares are, you know, nice, nothing we haven't seen before. They are quite large though, including 2 massive tiles towards the end. And alongside that we have the rectangular corridors. Again, really nicely illustrated, beautiful artwork, good resolution on them as well. So as you explore the environs, you'll get to see exactly how things pan out. Apart from the standard straight sections, we have these rather funky, well, this one's a deck of a boat, trapezoid type affair. Again, very nice, lovely hex base, double-sided with an icy field on the other. But my favourites are these hexagonal, octagonal, squashed hexagon. Just very different. And I like different. It gives a real different feel to dungeon exploring when you're not just constantly going through 90-degree angles. instead having to deal with lava pits or snowfields, or running down corridors that dogleg back on themselves, or alternatively converge towards one specific spot. There's also a couple of long corridors with a slight kink in them that block sort of long lines of sight. So you've got to get right up close and personal to deal with whoever's on the other side. So like I say, about 35 or 36 map tiles. Very nice quality. Well worth the price of admission. So I've spent the last almost an hour doing the tokens. 2 tray sets then. This one contains your hex tiles. So it was very easy to sort out the singles, doubles, triples. Then you also have sort of terrain, single terrain covering, double terrain covering, impediments, doors, and allegedly traps. I say allegedly because I'm not entirely certain if I picked out the right things. It was difficult to tell what a trap was. Some of these single ones may actually be traps, and some of these may just be bits of terrain that should be in here. I haven't played Gloomhaven, so I'm not sure, and it wasn't easily identifiable. Once you start playing, you'll be able to sort them out. It's not a major issue. Then the tokens themselves, core for gameplay. Nice set of tokens overall. Quality was very good, and the punches were very clean, so no issues with rips or anything else. 1 or 2 of the die cuts were a little off center, so you can see, you might not be able to see some of the ones. So there's a 10. So it came close to the edge, but none of them were off completely. And there was just a few. The majority were much better, more centralized. So very handy little trays, and while time consuming, I can definitely see the bonus of not having to dig through a lot of bags when you're looking for specific tokens all the time. So I am a fan of these. Looking into the trays themselves then, we have 2 that are filled with cards. Now, I haven't gone in to split these up yet. The deck does explain, or the book explains to go in and split these decks. They're all numbered and split off, so it will tell you to fetch out number 105 to 125 and shuffle those with another deck, 90 to 97. And then there's card dividers as well, so that when you're finished with all the moving around, the shuffling and the compilation of your decks, you can then just go ahead and put them back in the right way. Go ahead and separate them out, put the dividers in, and they're there, done and dusted for you. Because I've not got to this point yet. It also contains things like the monster ability cards. So you'll be looking to find specific monster ability cards to go with the monster standees, and then it tells you to include those in the bags for the standees themselves, which are considerable. But yeah, so this still needs to be broken down, but a lot of cards in there already. And then the meat and or potatoes. So in the bottom of the box, you can see another tray. This tray contains some more cards and scenario envelopes, which are all sealed and numbered. So you can see 21 with its little seal on it. Do not break seal until instructed by the game. You also have the trackers that we've seen earlier and the monster cards and ability cards. But these boxes here are your character cards. So inside each one of these, you've got your various components to build your character. And inside these are the individual miniatures for said character. With the exception of this one, which is the Germinator, who comes in 2 separate boxes because there are 2 different variants of the character when you play. They can swap between them. So if I set this to one side and grab the rulebook, when you're starting to play, there are 6 character classes. In total, there are 15, I believe. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17. Ah, there you go. So there's 17. So an additional 11 characters in there. They'll be unlocked as you play through the story. And Frosthaven is like Gloomhaven 1.5. The core mechanics are the same, but they've gone in and tweaked and modified how things work slightly, like dropping the gold in favor of building materials. Another thing they've done is remove questing to unlock characters. Instead, they are unlocked automatically as you progress through the story, which means you should have access to new characters faster, which is important if you want to play a permadeath game mode. So instead of having your characters return from the dead anytime they're put down, instead you can just play through where you have to do it and be damned. And if your spear is a low complexity, up to the germinate at a high complexity. So when you actually begin, the first thing you do is create your character, and inside one of the boxes you'll find the miniature. Inside the other you'll find all the components with their attack cards, their stat cards, their standees and character sheets, and then it will suggest some starting gear that you can equip the starting characters with as well. Although if you have played Gloomhaven before, you might decide that you're not going to go for some of the easier characters. You're going to start with the higher complexity and pick your own from here. So when you've picked your characters, you grab the tuck boxes for them. So inside this is the character itself. As you can see, they are pre-assembled PVC cast. They have the symbol for the relevant character on the bottom. And the level of detail is very good, bar a little bendy spear, but that can be straightened out with some hot water or a hairdryer. But overall, really nice model. If you fancy painting up your board game collection, then there's a whole host of characters in here for you to do that with. The other larger box contains all of the paraphernalia that you are required to play with. So, little mini deck of cards, your tokens, summoned friends, bits and pieces like that, your character sheets for the banner spear, and then the board itself explaining how the character is played out. And on the back it gives you a brief rundown of who the human banner spear is and their complexity rating and some of the things they excel at. So you can see very good at defense, melee and support are also above average, lacking in mobility and ranged. So you can see off just the bar chart very quickly how a character may play out, and that's very handy when you're looking to pick who you want to run with. Then you have the deck of cards, which is both their abilities and also sort of a wound and a ticking clock, because every time you burn through your deck of abilities, before you reshuffle, you take 1 or 2 cards out of that. So you can't rely on the fact that you can just recycle your deck of cards to keep going. You always have to be moving forward at pace, because anytime you take a rest, you might lose a really good card out of your deck. So I shall pop those back in the tuck box, and then we shall look at actually putting everything away. Once you've gone through and sorted out all of your components, you take your big box and then start on the bottom floor and work your way up. So the 2 L-shaped pieces fit around the tuck again. Then you take your books. So scenario book, rule book, your sticker sheets, and I'm going to pop the map in there as well. On top of that, you can pop in your two token trays. And then it's over to the big map tiles. And it's just a case of laying them up, small to large, to fill your box back up. It's a well thought out piece of design, I will give it that. I'm not a big board game player, so I haven't come across a game in the past that has actually come with its own instructions of how to take the game apart, how to open it, and assemble or distribute the components. Generally, you're left to sort of work that out for yourself and then work out how the pieces go back in there, which is sometimes infuriating, it has to be said. So I like the fact that they've taken the extra time. The last thing that goes in with this are the standees, which I've already separated out and bagged. The initiative counters or the initiative name tags all have to go into the individual bags, but you're supposed to do that when you've gone through and separated the card decks, because then you can use the monster card reference to find out, you look for the image and you go, okay, well, that is an ice elemental. And then you find the ice elemental tag, pop the ability cards in here along with the tag for the initiative track and do it that way. But yeah, it is a mammoth box. There is a ton in there. And if you fancy checking out the actual gameplay, then Cephalofair actually have the game rules explained in some videos on their website. So you can go there and see that if you fancy watching rather than reading. But yeah, I would say give yourself half a day just to break the box down and get it ready. And then maybe have the videos on in the background as you're separating the bits and pieces out. It looks like a spectacular game. And from all accounts, the feedback from Jaws of the Lion and Gloomhaven have been incorporated to make this a fantastic next step in the Haven series. So let me know what you think below. I'm going to go and have a lie down, maybe a stiff drink. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.